Hey guys, welcome back to another video. This week I'm sharing some easy weeknight soups that you can make. They take under 40 minutes to make, some of them even less than that. I really hope you enjoy this video and find something warm and cozy you can make this week. First up, we're making this smoked sausage and potato soup. I'm going to start by chopping up one small yellow onion, and then I'm also going to cut up one of these smoked turkey sausages. You do not have to use turkey, that's just what we prefer. I'm going to go ahead and slice that in half, slice it in half again, and then chop it up from there. I'm also going to peel and cut up 10 of these red potatoes into cubes. Over to my pot, I'm going to add just a little bit of olive oil and then toss in my sausage. I'm just going to let these brown up and get a little crispy. After they've crisped up, I'm going to just remove them to a plate for right now. Into my pan, I'm adding just a little bit more olive oil, and then we're going to go ahead and cook our onion in here. This onion is going to pick up some of that sausage flavor and just add more flavor overall to the soup. I'm only going to let that cook for about 2 to 3 minutes, and then I'm going to add in my celery. I'm adding in 1 cup of frozen chopped celery. Yours does not have to be frozen, but I do prefer using frozen because it gets softer a lot faster. And I'm also adding in a tablespoon of minced garlic. My cubed potatoes equaled about 4 cups of potatoes. I added those in, and then I'm also adding in 4 cups of low sodium chicken broth. I always use low sodium, but you could use regular if you want to. I'm just going to stir this and let this come to a boil and let the potatoes cook. After about 12 minutes, my potatoes were tender. I just took my potato masher and I mashed about half of those potatoes up in the pan. Now I'm adding in 2 cups of half and half. You could use regular milk if you want, or even heavy cream. I just prefer the half and half. I like the texture that it gives. Now we're going to thicken this soup up. I have 2 tablespoons of cornstarch right here in this little bowl. I'm just going to spoon in some of the liquid from our soup, give that a really good mix, and then add it right back into our pot. After I got that mixed in, I let it come to a boil for about 5 minutes just to thicken up, and then after that I added in 2 cups of shredded mild cheddar cheese. The cheese will very quickly melt down, and then I'm also going to add in about a 1/4 cup of sour cream. Now it's time to add your sausage back in, and I'm also going to add salt and pepper. The salt and pepper is to taste. This is actually one of my husband's favorite soups. He really likes a good thick soup, and then this is what my finished bowl looked like. I just topped it with a little bit more cheese, sour cream, and we added some chives on the top. Next up, I am making this Parmesan chicken gnocchi soup. To my skillet, I'm going to add a little bit of butter and olive oil. I'm going to let this melt down, and then we are going to cook our chicken in here. I have 2 chicken breasts that I cut in half into smaller, thinner pieces. I'm just going to add those in here, and then I'm going to season them with a little bit of black pepper, Parmesan ranch seasoning, and garlic powder. You could also use a rotisserie chicken for this if you do not want to cook the chicken, or you could cut the chicken into cubes and cook it up that way, or even bake it in the oven and shred it up. I just preferred to cook it here. I feel like it locks in more flavor when I cook it this way. While my chicken is cooking, I'm going to go ahead and chop up half of a yellow onion, and then we're going to get that started with a little bit of olive oil in my pot. I'm just letting that onion cook for about 3 to 4 minutes until it's tender, and then I'm going to add in a half cup of frozen celery. I'm just going to let that celery soften up, and I'm also going to add the drippings from my chicken pan in here just to provide some more flavor. I could have cooked the chicken in this pan too, but I feel like this other pan cooks my chicken a lot better, so I just did it this way, but I'm still getting that flavor from the chicken. Next, I'm adding in about a tablespoon of minced garlic. I'm just going to let this cook for about 30 seconds. Now I'm just going to add in 1 32-ounce box of low sodium chicken broth. I'm going to go ahead and add in some salt and pepper, maybe a 1/4 teaspoon each, just to provide some flavor while it's cooking. You can add more later, as well as about 1 teaspoon of thyme. I went ahead and let this come to a boil. It only took a few minutes, and then once it was boiling, I added in my 16-ounce package of gnocchi. I did break them up with my fingers before adding them into the soup. I let that come back to a boil for about 4 minutes. And then next I'm going to reduce the heat just a little bit and add in a half cup of frozen spinach. You can use fresh spinach if you want to, but I just keep frozen on hand. Now I'm going to add in 2 cups of half and half, and I'm also going to add my chicken in here. I went ahead and chopped my chicken up into smaller pieces after it finished cooking. And then I'm also going to add a half cup of grated Parmesan cheese, and then we're just going to let this all warm through, let the cheese melt, and then it is ready to eat. This is a very soupy soup, so if you don't like a very runny soup like this, then you can make a cornstarch slurry to thicken it up. I just topped that with a little bit of fresh Parmesan cheese, and then it was all done. So this is what my finished bowl looked like. Like I said, it's very runny, so if you don't like very runny soups like this, add a cornstarch slurry and it'll thicken right up. If you don't like gnocchi, you could also add tortellini in here. That's also another great option, or even some potatoes. The last recipe in today's video is this sausage and white bean soup. Into my pot, I'm adding in 1 pound of sweet Italian ground sausage. You could use regular sausage as well, but I do want to mention the spicy sausage is really good in here. While my sausage is cooking, I'm going to go ahead and chop up half of a yellow onion into nice small pieces. Once my sausage was done, I went ahead and removed that to a plate for the time being, and then we are just going to add our onion into the pot here with 1 cup of frozen celery. You do not have to use celery. I'm actually replacing carrots in this recipe with celery just because my husband isn't a fan of carrots. I am just going to let those cook together for a few minutes and get tender. As you can see, because the celery was frozen, it is adding a little bit of liquid into the pan, and I'm just using that to sort of deglaze my pan. And next I'm just going to add about a tablespoon of minced garlic and just let that cook for about 30 seconds. After that, I'm going to add 2 cans of cannellini beans. Next, add 3 cups of low sodium chicken broth, as well as 1/4 teaspoon of Italian seasoning and a 1/4 teaspoon of rosemary. Next, I'm adding in 1 cup of heavy cream. I'm going to stir this in and let this come to a low boil just to let the beans soften up. You can skip this step if you want to. It's just going to help thicken up the soup. I am taking my potato masher and I'm going to mash about half of those beans in the pot. At this point, you can add your sausage back in, and then I'm also going to add about a 1/2 cup of frozen spinach. I'm going to let that warm up together, and then we are just going to salt and pepper to taste, and then you are ready to eat. Mashing up the beans should help thicken up your soup, but if it's still too thin for you, like I said in the last recipe, you can make a cornstarch slurry and thicken it up. But mine was honestly perfect without doing that, with just mashing the beans, and we enjoyed it just like this. Here's what my finished bowl looked like. I just added on some shredded Italian style cheese. The sausage really brings out a ton of flavor in this soup, and like I said, I've made this with a spicy sausage, and that's also really good too. I truly hope you enjoyed this video. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I really truly appreciate you, and I will see you guys back here on Wednesday.